Listen, before we jump into this explainer, I want you to just take a deep breath, settle in, and really hear this. There is a very high probability that right now you are fighting an invisible war inside your own body. It's this quiet, exhausting battle between the crazy demands of the modern world and your biological, non-negotiable need for rest. So today, we are going deep into the neuroscience of burnout. We're going to decode the exact relationship between chronic stress and sleep, and most importantly, we're going to look at the hard science of how you can finally reclaim your nights. You know that incredibly visceral, deeply frustrating feeling, right? You look over, the clock is ticking past midnight, your body is heavy, literally weighed down with absolute exhaustion, but your mind, it's buzzing like a chaotic symphony. Your heart might be beating just a little too fast, and you have that classic wired but tired feeling. You're just lying there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering why on earth your body won't just shut down. I want to stop you right there and reassure you right from the start. Your exhaustion, your inability to just effortlessly drift off to sleep is absolutely not a personal failure. It's just not. Modern life honestly keeps most of us in a near constant state of alert. Between the relentless digital notifications, the endless work pressures, and just general emotional stress, your nervous system can literally get stuck in survival mode. You are experiencing a biological misalignment, all caused by an environment your brain thinks is a constant physical threat. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the invisible nervous system war, and understand your biological command center. To actually fix this exhaustion, we have to pop the hood and understand the neurobiology of burnout. This daily war for your rest, it takes place in a highly specific control room called your autonomic nervous system, or the ANS. Think of this as your body's biological command center. It operates entirely below your conscious awareness, constantly pulling the levers behind the scenes that control your heart rate, your digestion, your breathing, and, critically, your stress responses. It really helps to think of the ANS like a car with two pedals. Your sympathetic nervous system is the gas pedal. It triggers that famous fight-or-flight response, surging adrenaline and cortisol through your veins and keeping you hyper-aroused to deal with whatever threat is in front of you. Then you have your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the brake pedal. It promotes rest and digest, increasing your vagal tone and supporting deep, calming cellular repair. Now, in a healthy, balanced state, you press the gas during the day and you ease onto the brakes at night. But chronic stress, it effectively glues the gas pedal right to the floor. So even when you finally get into bed and try to press the brakes, your engine is still completely revving. Which brings us to Section 2, the 3 a.m. wake-up call, and the actual science behind midnight anxiety. That revving engine leads directly to the absolute most frustrating symptom of this biological war, that dreaded 3 a.m. wake-up. Let's look at what's called the cortisol cup effect. In a totally normal sleep cycle, your primary stress hormone, cortisol, drops at night and naturally starts to gradually rise around 2 or 3 a.m. This is just to help you wake up later in the morning. But if you're carrying around chronic stress, your baseline cortisol is already way too high. Your metaphorical cup is practically full to the brim. So when that natural 3 a.m. biological surge hits, the cup overflows. That massive spike prematurely slams on that sympathetic gas pedal. Your heart rate jumps and your body jolts awake, 100% convinced it needs to fight off a predator in the pitch black. And the collateral damage of these midnight cortisol spikes is honestly pretty severe. When your sleep architecture fragments like that, you suffer sharp increases in your nighttime heart rate and blood pressure. You completely miss out on the deeply restorative, slow-wave sleep that literally repairs your body's tissues. And you interrupt the REM sleep that's supposed to consolidate your memories and regulate your emotions. And this is the worst part. It traps you in a self-perpetuating loop. Poor sleep ruins your emotional resilience, which just causes more stress the next day, which further ruins your sleep the very next night. So how do we break the loop? That's Section 3, hacking your circadian rhythm and aligning your biological master clock. To get out of this cycle, we have to restore biological harmony by taking control of our circadian rhythm. And get this, the secret to a perfect night's sleep actually begins the literal exact moment you open your eyes in the morning. It's wild, but it's true. You have these highly specialized light-sensing cells in your eyes called IPRGCs. They don't actually help you see shapes or colors. Instead, they completely bypass your visual cortex and act like a direct fiber optic cable straight to your brain's master clock. When these specific cells detect bright morning light, they hit a giant reset button on your circadian rhythm. They halt your sleep hormones and start a 14 to 16-hour countdown timer for exactly when you'll start feeling sleepy that night. But look, before you even get out of bed to find that light, you usually have to battle through something known as sleep inertia. If you feel incredibly foggy and groggy when you wake up, please know it is not a lack of willpower. It's just hard science. Your brain still has these lingering deep sleep delta waves. Plus, your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making center of your brain, is super slow to reactivate, and your cerebral blood flow is physically reduced. I think just knowing this helps relieve so much guilt about not springing out of bed perfectly energized. Your brain is quite literally taking time to boot up. So the key here is implementing an actionable morning protocol that uses biology to your advantage to banish that sleep inertia. First step, get natural light exposure within the first 15 to 30 minutes of waking up. That stimulates those IPRGCs we just talked about. Second, drink cool water immediately. You lose a ton of fluid overnight, and rehydrating instantly restores that cerebral blood flow to clear out the brain fog. And finally, enforce a strict caffeine cutoff at 2 p.m. This is absolutely crucial because it stops caffeine from blocking your adenosine receptors, meaning you can successfully build up enough biological sleep pressure for deep rest later that night.
All right, moving into the evening, we have section 4, micro habits for deep rest, focusing on how to bypass cognitive friction.
Now that the morning is handled, we've got to focus on the wind down. And here is a huge secret. Regulating your nervous system does not require some massive, exhausting lifestyle overhaul. When you're tired, your motivation is completely tapped out. We have to bypass that cognitive friction. The absolute best, scientifically backed way to do this is through habit stacking. The formula is so simple. After I do a current automatic habit, I will immediately do a new 60-second micro habit. By attaching a tiny new behavior to something you already do on autopilot every single day, you use the brain's habit center, the basal ganglia, to make relaxation totally automatic without draining any of your precious mental energy. Let's look at exactly how this builds into an effortless evening routine. Okay, so after you clear the dinner plates, that's your anchor, you immediately dim the household lights to low warm levels. That signals your master clock that twilight is here. Then after you lock the front doors for the night, you plug your phone into a charger that is located outside the bedroom. This one is a real game changer. It totally eliminates the blue light that crushes your melatonin. And finally, after you turn off your bedside lamp, you do just 2 minutes of deliberate deep breathing. These are incredibly seamless stocks, but together they forcefully signal to your brain that the day's war is officially over.
And speaking of that deep breathing, if you find your mind is still racing once you're in bed, there is an exact technique you should use. It's called the physiological sigh, and it's been heavily researched by neuroscientists. Here's how you do it. You take a deep inhale through your nose, and then right at the top, you take a second, shorter, top-off inhale to fully pop open the little air sacs in your lungs. Then, you let out a long, slow, complete exhale through your mouth. This specific breathing pattern directly stimulates the vagus nerve. It is literally the ultimate real-time brake pedal to instantly yank your body out of sympathetic hyperarousal and drop it down into parasympathetic calm.
Finally, we absolutely have to talk about your physical environment, specifically thermoregulation. To fall asleep and, more importantly, to stay in that deep, slow-wave sleep, your core body temperature actually needs to drop, and you can manually hack this. First, keep your bedroom cool, ideally right between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, try taking a warm bath about 90 minutes before bed. When you step out, the rapid evaporation off your skin forces a rebound cooling effect deep in your core. And here's my favorite weird trip. Wear warm socks to bed. I know, it sounds totally backwards, but insulating your feet actually promotes localized vasodilation. It pulls blood to the surface of your feet, which amazingly accelerates heat loss from your core. It sounds crazy, but it powerfully drops you right into deep rest. I want to leave you with this final thought. If you've been struggling for a long time with sleep, with brain fog, with just relentless exhaustion, please hear me. You are not broken. Your biology is actually working exactly the way it was designed to under immense modern stress. Your body is just caught in a loop, and it's desperately waiting for the right signals to tell it that the war is over so it can finally rest. You now have the science, you have the routines, and you have the micro habits to take back control of that biological command center. So as you start to power down today, I really have to ask you, what signal are you going to send to your body tonight?